Hello and welcome back. I'm Arumba. Thank you for joining me. Let's play some Distant Worlds 2. We are playing as the United Federation of Planets humans. I have taken a brief break between episodes here to update my ship designs. I've done all of them except for one. We will do one together, and then I'll just very quickly go through what I did with the others. One thing I want to point out before people ask here, whether this is on manual or automatic actually doesn't make any difference whatsoever if you have the setting in your policy options to disable under construction. If you disable ship and base design here and put it to manual, then on this list, again, this doesn't actually do anything. So if I forget one and it says, ooh, it's on automatic, don't worry, it's not actually automatic, it's just lying. I really think that should automatically, you can't put it on automatic. If you want to have some designs be automatic and some designs be manual, you have to have it on automatic here, and then you do have to manually turn off the ones you don't want to do. So the very first playthrough I did, I only designed military ships, but I've found that designing all of the ships and all of the stations is significantly better, on the order of like 50 to 75% stronger overall ships. So real quick, let's go and start with our small spaceport, which is the one that we're going to do together. We'll actually just strip the whole thing and do the design from the beginning. So we'll pull all the weapons, we'll pull all the stuff, we will leave both construction yards. Let's add a docking bay or two, since that's kind of the job of the spaceport. Real quick, I want to point out, see how there's size 50 here? There is always one bay, it's really easy to miss, that is size 60. That's because small space stations can have a single research lab. If you forget to see that, then you might miss out. And if you click anywhere else, the research lab does not show up because it doesn't fit. The research lab is a size 60 bay, so it has to go here. So it's really important that you get that one done first. Let's go ahead and put at the bottom here an energy collector. At the top, we want our command center. We want at least a little bit of basic crew. We're going to want a single fuel cell, and we're going to need probably 2 reactors. We need a little bit more crew. Looking over here at this number. So we have 165 and we need 209. That's how I know. So we'll add another one. Now we have 240 out of 214 needed. Must have at least 1 cargo storage. Let's add that. Highly recommend clicking this button and then looking at this list. Gives great recommendations. Should have recreation capability and medical capability. We don't have the tech for that yet. Should consider adding a commerce center. Don't have the tech. Don't have long-range scanners. Energy collection rate is currently lower than static energy requirements. So we added 1 energy collector, which provides 50 energy per second, but the static energy used by the station is 70. What that means is that there's a 20-point deficit. To come up with that difference, we will constantly be burning fuel. So if you don't want your stations to just burn fuel endlessly, we need to include another energy collector. Our Empire currently has no supply of silicon, mebnar, and carbonite. Just as a warning, you do start with like 1,000 of each of those. At the very beginning of the game, I don't recommend putting any weapons on your stations. First off, there are no pirates for at least the first couple of years, so the weapons do nothing, and they do cost resources to build and annual maintenance to pay for. Second is that they don't stop the pirates from taking over your stuff, so what's the point? We have no tech for shields or defenses. We don't necessarily need scanners on our starport because we can't see very far yet. We only have basic scanners. Let's actually pull 1 docking bay. We really only need... let's just have both. The advantage of the docking bay is that having 2 construction yards on your spaceport's really valuable, I think. Lets you build 2 ships at once. But notice in that tooltip, construction yards only have 1 docking bay with a throughput of 300 per second. So if they're unloading a freighter or a mining ship or whatever's coming into the station, then they can only transfer 300 items per second, and only 1 ship can go into the construction yard. Docking bays are 50% faster and have twice as much space, and also they're only size 50 versus the construction yard's size 100. So these 2 together equal 1 of those, but there's 4 total docking bays with 50% throughput. So they're really, really valuable for your freighters. Not like right now, since we don't have very many freighters, but they will become valuable. I do like to go high on crew at the very start of the game, because if you get boarded by pirates, the amount of excess and just like total number of crew is what determines this value here, your boarding defense. Most pirate ships have 1 assault pod, and they've got the tech that gives them the 50% increase to assault strength. So they'll usually board you with somewhere between 100 to 150 boarding strength. So if you have at least 300 to 400 boarding defense, then you're safe from most pirate raids. Your crew can fight them off. So I like to have excess crew when possible. That also puts us to 749 out of 750. That's the most we can possibly have. So I think we're good here. That's going to be our spaceport. Let's go through the other ones that I did. Also, I want to change the naming convention here. So SSP is small spaceport. I like to rename the stuff. I like to do spaceport-S-model. This is just the numbering naming convention that I use for all my stuff. So I've got mining station small 1, escort small or standard 1, explorer small 1, construction ship small 1, research station -2. Research stations don't have a size change, so all are small 1 and miner small 1. So let's take a look at each of these. Shouldn't take too long. So on my mining ship, we've pulled all weapons. We just have the one engine. Added a couple small mining engines. The AI does not like to add extra mining capability to your ships. They'll just usually put one large mining engine. Having 2 extra small miners makes it do its job faster. I don't like putting extra cargo bays on the miner ships at the start of the game because they tend to mine whatever resource you find at the very start, and it's not guaranteed to be a good resource. And we don't have the ability to tell them to go to other places. So I don't want them tied up mining a 2 or 3% steel or Mebnar asteroid when we then discover resources at the next planet. So I like having actually a small cargo bay at the start with extra mining speed. The freighter is just very basic. It's got 2 cargo bays, 2 fuel cells, nothing special. No weapons, 2 engines. We could put more stuff on it, but there's just no reason to make it more expensive. And before you chime in and say, oh, the more expensive you make it, the more money you'll get from the civilian economy, I don't care. I don't want to spend build time. I don't want to spend maintenance for the civilians, and I don't want them to be expensive. I'd rather get less from the civilian economy and then have them build more, right? Our research station has, of course, 2 research labs, basic crew, everything that it needs. I do like to put proximity sensors on the research lab because they tend to be built outside of your capital. And also this will end up getting upgraded at some point to long-range sensors, so we can have some extra vision. Our construction ship, super basic, no weapons. I do like putting sensors on the construction ship in case they approach a planet or star and are trying to build a research base or something, and there are space critters. They'll see them coming and run away. Our exploration ship, I'm currently limiting it to just 2 fuel cells. The game starts you off, if you leave it on automated, with 5 fuel cells, which is just way too much fuel at the start. And honestly, we could get by with just 1 fuel cell. But the thing is, we have 3 engines, right? And the lighter the ship is, the less size we use, the more the engine power is relative to the weight of the ship, so the faster we can go. So carrying around extra fuel that we don't need actually just slows the ship down, and it's pointless. I pulled the basic sensors because we're going to eventually put a resource scanner here, and we just want the ship to focus on surveying. So, yep, that's where that's at. And then we do have an escort. This is our only military ship design. We're not going to build any of these just yet, but it's very bare bones for now. We'll talk about ship design more as we get technology. And then lastly, the mining station. This is the one that I customize the most. It does have a proximity sensor, so we can see stuff around that location, know where to warp into, for example. It's got 1 docking bay for now. I like to have 2 docking bays eventually, but I don't have enough basic bays to run the amount of reactors that I would need, so that's why we're only using 1 at the moment. And I've pulled all the weapons because, again, early game against the difficulty of pirates that I'm using, these weapons won't stop pirates. They will still board you. There's just no point in paying for them or even having them, in my opinion. Instead, I'd rather go heavy on crew, that boarding defense that I talked about, and then heavy on cargo bays so that we can just store a lot of resources. Turns out, if the pirates steal half of your gas and you have 20,000 gas, you don't really care because there's still 10,000 gas. I also stuck 1 extra small mining engine into it so that it's just a tiny bit quicker at mining than it would normally be. The large mining engine provides 30, this small mining engine provides an extra 10. This guy can mine in an area of effect for asteroids. These only apply to the actual entity that they're attached to. So like, if you put a mining station on a gas giant, it will mine more gas, but if you put it in an asteroid field, it's not gonna really massively increase the asteroids that you get. You could technically have 2 separate designs, 1 for asteroid belts and 1 for planets and stuff, but that's too much work. So anyway, that's the ship design that we're using. The game does start us off with a few things already queued. We have one exploration ship, 68% complete, followed by a construction ship, followed by a mining ship. I'm going to go ahead and before we unpause, I'm going to interject my spaceport, and we're going to bump him up in the queue because I want the spaceport before I want my construction ship. There's just no real reason to have a construction ship yet. There's nothing to build. So we're going to grab at the Earth spaceport the small spaceport and shuffle him to the front. Technically, I could actually put him ahead of that exploration ship. There is a way to do it. Normally, you can't move the entity that's in the first spot of the queue, but if you click on it and then stop on the individual entity, and then go back to the planet, you are then able to shuffle it forward. I'm not going to do that, though, because it's fine to just get the exploration ship quickly. All right, that all being said, let's go ahead and unpause. Starship has been constructed, and we already have a exploration ship. So here's our planet, Earth. There is that thing. I can't rename it until we have a mining station around it. But let's start off by surveying that. It's going to take a little bit of time to get from here to there, but I do want to get the mining station built there quickly. So we're going to have this ship manually go out there. And then I'll put him back to fully automate so that once he's done with that task, he'll then pick up tasks on his own. It's a great way to just give a one-off command. And here's where, as I was mentioning, the top-end speed of the ship, talking about speed and design and stuff, we've got 58 cruise speed, 65 sprint speed. Having that extra little bit makes a difference. Notice how we're at 58, and then 65 is the listed max. So 58 is what we'll travel at when we are in non-combat. Sprint is the speed we will travel at when we are in actual combat. So this number is almost never relevant for explorers, freighters, civilian ships, etc. We care about that cruise number. But going 58 is pretty, it's okay. Of course, this is actually the wrong one. This is the one that was queued before I did an update. They actually have the same speed, ironically or coincidentally, which is interesting. But anyway, it'll make a difference. You'll see. Hey, the game's officially running. All right, so we got our spaceport going. One thing that's kind of neat is that as soon as the spaceport's construction yards are done, one is at 79% built. Once that's done, even though the rest of the station is just scaffolding, that spaceport construction yard will be functional. So we can actually pop out another ship. Right there we can see. Now there is a construction yard available. So let's pop out one more exploration ship for now. We don't want to go heavier than that. Okay, I've officially let 3 months pass. Before we play any further, though, I want to briefly talk about how important it is to actually have net positive revenue. And we need to talk about like where revenue comes from. So we have our planet's population of 2 billion people. And right now, if we click here, we can see the revenue for the planet's 29,511. That's the annual revenue of the planet. This number is determined by the population times the development. The higher the development, the more money the planet makes. And then it's also multiplied by the suitability of the race, which is affected by quality. So the higher the quality of the planet, the higher the suitability for the race. And then those things all work together to determine this top number. From there, we take out corruption. All governments are somewhat corrupt. Our government is slightly less corrupt than others, but we lose 7,778 monies to corruption. That leaves us with 21,733. Of that, we're currently taxing at 16%. 16% of 21,733 is 3,477. Our current support costs, the bare minimum just to have this planet, will be 1,000. So we lose 1,000 of it, and then we are left with 2,477 net tax revenue. That number, if that number is not more than your annual expenses, then there won't be any excess number to spend on growth or research. So the first few playthroughs that I did in this game, I really undervalued having net positive annual income, because there is a mechanic where every time a civilian ship is built, you get bonus income. When they build a ship, you get the money. They're contracting the construction of the ship with the government, us. So if they build a $20,000 ship, we get 20,000 ducats. The problem is that those ducats don't count towards this funding level page, which means that you can't use it to fund research or colony growth. And if you don't have colony growth, you will fall so far behind versus the AI, and you will also fall super far behind on research. So you almost always want to see a number up here that's slightly positive, if not very positive. So just wanted to mention that for now. I'm gonna bump this number down to about 70, put that down to like 5, and this is gonna put like 20. And actually put it like 75. These numbers don't actually matter at this point. Basically what this does is if I say that I have a budget of 75%, 75% of my income is budgeted towards ship maintenance. That's going to make 75% of this number be available for ship maintenance. If there is a disparity between the current amount used and the amount available, then if you have the policy setting where the AI will attempt to recommend construction, they'll say, oh, I see that you have excess available money. You should build some ships. I disable that because I don't want them to spam me with erroneous suggestions. I don't want more construction ships yet. I don't want more exploration ships. There's nothing to explore, and paying for ships that can't explore is dumb. So, unlike in certain other games where like you have like a slider, for example, where you can pay your ships less or pay your troops less, whether this number is 75 and this number is bigger than this or not, if I put it down to 10 and that goes red, you're still paying it. I'm only budgeting 248, but we're paying the full number. It's just that now, if I had the AI suggested builds on, they won't recommend anything because we're over budget. Hopefully that makes sense, like what the purpose of this is. Okay, I've officially played 3 months in 2 episodes, but I'm gonna take a short break here, and I will see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.